Hello there. It looks like the European Union wants to reduce fishing activity in the Med. Now, where better to then send their boats than into UK waters, if they can continue to control them in some way? Firstly, please subscribe and like this video to give my channel a boost, and I'm always uploading new content, so please do check back daily. And a big thanks to my Patreon and PayPal supporters. And if you want something more light-hearted, I've left a link to our new YouTube offering, Central Broadcast UK, in the descriptions box below. As Brussels continues to try and play hardball to try and force the UK to allow EU fishing vessels to continue stripping our fishing stocks bare, we hear that the European Union wants to cut back on fishing activity in the Western Mediterranean. So keeping their access to UK waters under current terms is now all the more important to them. These proposed Med reductions have unsurprisingly got the backs of the Spanish, French and Italian fishing communities well and truly up. The Express reports, the EU proposal would result in a 15% reduction in the fishing days already allocated to Spain, France and Italy. Spanish, French and Italian groups have issued a warning over the financial impact on the industry in a letter to Virginijus Sinkevicius, the EU Commissioner for the Environment, Oceans and Fisheries. EU fishermen are already bound by red tape under a multi-annual management plan which forms part of the controversial Common Fisheries Policy. Now, this might actually tie in with a recent meeting of something called the General Fisheries Commission for the Mediterranean, the GFCM, on the 3rd of November, where they talked about a new plan for fishing in the Med area going forwards, and the EU Commissioner for the Environment, Oceans and Fisheries attended that meeting. Now, the GFCM was set up under UN auspices, not the European Union, and according to its website is currently composed of 23 contracting parties, 22 member countries and the European Union. And then, more importantly, it goes on to say, the GFCM plays a critical role in fisheries governance in its area of application, having the authority to adopt binding recommendation for fisheries conservation and management and for aquaculture development. These recommendations can relate, among others, to the regulation of fishing methods, fishing gear and minimum landing size, as well as the establishment of spatial protection measures, fishing effort control and of multi-annual management plans for selected fisheries. Now, I'm no expert in this area, but that tells me that the EU Common Fisheries Policy in the Med may well be subservient to GCFM rules. Oh, how sweet is that? So it could be that the European Union proposals for the Med are in fact driven by UN requirements. So is the reality that the UN wants to push EU fishing vessels out of the Med, and the EU then, in turn, wants to push as many of them as it can into UK waters? Now, back in March 2017, the GFCM said, Ministers and high-level representatives of Mediterranean riparian states, as well as the European Commission and the European Parliament, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and the General Fisheries Commission for the Mediterranean came together and took a decisive step to promote the sustainability of the Mediterranean and its fisheries. And we all know that sustainability always means taking fewer of whatever it is to be sustained. And during 2019, the EU fishing community says it had to take a reduction in fishing hours of up to 20% in the Med. And it looks like next year we'll see that go down by another 15%. Could it be that the EU has about as much say within the GFCM as an EU member state has in Brussels? And here's the list of the contracting parties for the GFCM. And there are also another 5 non-contracting parties. Yes, many of them are in the EU, they are member states, but not all by a long chalk. And those that are not EU member states will be keen to ensure that the EU fishing community does not wreck the Med aquaculture through overfishing, especially after the UK takes back control of its waters. But the Spanish national fishing bodies have written a joint letter with French and Italian organisations to the EU Commission, firmly rejecting any move to reduce their fishing efforts in the Western Mediterranean. With Javier Garat, the Secretary General of one Spanish fishing organisation, Capesca, saying, "We are aware of the need for sustainable management of resources in the Western Mediterranean. Hence we have scrupulously complied with the temporary closures and the reduction of fishing effort during the first year of application of the plan. However, in the exceptional circumstances that we are going through, our fishermen need more than ever to continue working to overcome the catastrophic socio-economic consequences that this pandemic entails. Therefore, in this context, the establishment of additional reduction measures in 2021 will only contribute to undermine the profitability of the ship owners and quite possibly to bankrupt them, with the consequent destruction of fleet and employment." And Basilio Otero, the president of another, the National Federation of Fishermen's Guilds, or FNCP, said, "We understand the need to recover the Mediterranean, and for this the sector has made temporary closures, scrapped ships and taken measures. In a year complicated by the pandemic, we are suffering. The sector has adapted to the demands of the reduction of the Mediterranean plan, but a further reduction in 2021, such as the one intended, will lead to the closure and sale of numerous vessels, with the consequent destruction of jobs, direct and indirect, having to understand in addition that in the Mediterranean vessels that do not meet European standards operate. Community institutions have to understand that no one wants to be more sustainable than the sector, because in that sustainability goes the bread of their families." Now, I do feel for the EU fishing communities, but I get the uncomfortable feeling that the EU wants the UK fishing community to also take a hit so that Brussels can meet its Med sustainability commitments. And were we still within the EU or within its jurisdiction for fishing matters after the 1st of January, I think most people would be able to see where it would be going. Yet more UK fisherfolk out of work for something happening in another sea area. And if I'm right about the GFCM bossing the Med, and therefore a portion of the EU Common Fisheries Policy, then that would mean the UN efforts in the Med could have a knock-on effect on how much stock the UK fishing community would be allowed to take from UK waters. And it also suggests to me that the EU hasn't quite got full control over its Common Fisheries Policy. Another good reason to keep it at a barge pole's length from us. Anyway, if you want to hear more from me, please don't forget to subscribe and also press that little bell, or you won't get any notifications. And if you want to see more of me, buy a mug with my mug on it by following the link in the descriptions box below, and support me on Patreon or PayPal. So what do you think about this? Please share and comment, and thank you for watching.